Hi everyone, I'm coming on here today. I want to deliver a word from the Lord to you guys. And I want to start out by clarifying something I said in I think it was the second to the last video. And I read from Revelation chapter 3 and verse 5. He that overcomes, the same will be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. Now this gives Jesus Christ the power to blot out a name. But why would Jesus do that, right? And what does that verse have to do with our salvation? Are these two different issues that we're dealing with? And I believe that they are. You are saved by grace and not by your works. Period. You will be judged by your works, but you are saved by the sheer grace of God that he bestowed upon his only Son. The blood that Jesus Christ shed is the only thing. There's only one way to heaven, and that is through him. The blood that Jesus Christ shed is for everyone. It is for the sins of the whole world. It is up to you to accept or for you to reject. And if your name is blotted out of the book of life, it is because you rejected his only Son. And that is that. On to the vision that the Lord gave me. And he gave me a vision in the afternoon, and I received 3. And I'm looking up at a lot of buildings, just a tremendous number of buildings stacked up upon each other, side by side. And one building in particular stood out. And it was that building of that blue glass I've talked to you guys about before. And so that being said, the vision ends, and then it starts up again. And then I'm looking for the buildings, and all those buildings are just disappeared. And all I see is blue, this blue sea blue color, and I know that the blue represents water. These buildings are near water, and they're all going down. And then I received a third vision from Jesus. And in that third vision, I see the blue water again, and I see pieces of buildings floating in the water. And everything that I'm seeing is coming from my right, the right side. So I'm thinking the East Coast, right? And I'm thinking, New York City. And in chapter 13 of the book of Isaiah, and in verse 1, it says, the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah, the son of Amos, did see. And I'm skipping down now too. Verse 3. I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called the mighty ones for my anger, even them that rejoiced in my highness, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of the nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts musters the host of the battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Howl you, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It will come as a destruction from the Almighty. And that is a direct word I received after that vision. Destruction comes from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart will melt, and they will be afraid. Pangs and sorrows will take hold of them. They will be in pain as a woman in travail. They will be amazed at one another. Their faces will be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord comes, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he will destroy the sinners thereof out of it. There's something going on up in New York, and I believe that perhaps that is the head of the snake. And back to verse 10, for the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof will not give their light. The sun will be darkened in his going forth, and the moon will not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Oh, and I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Therefore I will shake the heavens and the earth, and remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts in the day of his fierce anger. And he also led me to the book of Ezekiel chapter 27 and verse 26. Thy rowers have brought you into great waters, into the east wind have they broken you into the midst of the seas. your riches and your fares, your merchandise, your mariners, and your pilots, your caulkers, and the occupiers of your merchandise, and all the men of war that are in thee, and all thy company which is in the midst of thee will fall into the midst of the seas in the day of your ruin. The suburbs will shake at the sound of the cry of the pilots. And all that handle the oar, the mariners, and all the pilots of the sea will come down from their ships. And they will stand upon the land, and they will cause their voice to be heard against you, and will cry bitterly, and will cast dust upon their heads. They will wallow themselves in ashes. Sounds like Revelation 18, doesn't it? And they will make themselves utterly bald for you, and gird them with sackcloth, and they will weep for you with bitterness of heart and bitter wailing. And in their wailing they will take up a lamentation for thee, and lament over you, saying, What city is like Tyrus, like the destroyed in the midst of the sea? When thy wares went forth out of the seas, thou fillest with many people. Thou did enrich the kings of the earth with the multitude of your riches and of your merchandise. In the time when you will be broken in the seas, the depths of the waters of your merchandise, and all your company in the midst of thee will fall. I read out of the book of Ezekiel before. This is, I believe, a direct word for New York City. When they say peace and safety, then it comes sudden destruction. The Lord also gave me another vision, too, and I'll do my best to be brief. I had a vision a year ago, and it was of a man, two men I used to know, and one was on the right in a long black duster with a black hat, and to the left of him was his friend. And he was wearing a light hat and a light colored duster, and they were standing in snow, but the snow didn't cover their feet completely. And all around them I could see there was a forest, and the Lord allowed a spirit of fear and death to roll through me. And I asked the Lord, I said, what is this? Why would these two men want to kill me? And he said, because they've been lied to. Now, I'm giving this out here now because the Lord gave me something else. And these people, these two men used to like to ride motorcycles, and they're part of a larger group. And some other things that have happened lately. So here's the vision. I see motorcycle chains, thick motorcycle chains like they go on larger bikes. And they're all stacked up on top of each other, just thick. Very, very little light getting through. And so I know that the word will be difficult to get through because there was such a little bit of light. But then I got to thinking, now wait a minute, there's a little bit of light, so the word will get through. And then, so the word being, you've been lied to. This particular group of individuals that like to ride motorcycles have been taken from within and do not know it, and being played, being lied to by someone on the top who has been there many years, probably well into the late 60s, early 70s. There, that is said. Now then, I received a second vision of the chains all stacked up, and then all of a sudden they were gone, and it was like they were melted with a heat, like a whitish yellowish light with a hint of red, which is indicative of a nuclear war. Now, I'm believing that this particular group of people stick very close together, and the little bit of light means that nobody gets in. But the word will get in, because you have to understand that you have been lied to. Now, so there is one of you who is a woman, and you did cross my path, and I claim you for Jesus Christ. That's your word. Your life will be a light for him. Your job is to accept him and allow that Holy Spirit light to flow through you so his word can continue. And in Psalm 18 and verse 17, and this goes out for all of us, he delivered me from my strong enemy and from them which hated me, for they were too strong for me. Remember, in Psalm 119, verse 69, the proud have forged a lie against me, but I will keep your precepts with my whole heart. When Satan comes against you, and that I'm paraphrasing, when he comes upon you like a flood, God will lift up the standard and hold his hand back. Look down at your hands, everybody. Look down at your hands. Look at the back of them. Look at them. Look them over. Be careful with what you do with your hands. Watch what enters your mind. Be mindful, because remember, Satan entered Judas. Okay, also I want to give you all something cool before I close this, because I know these are very intense messages. So there's something the Lord showed me about himself. And it's in Matthew chapter 13 and verse 1. The same day Jesus went out of the house, and he sat by the seaside. Isn't that cool? The Lord showed me that he loves the sea. All right, everybody. I have delivered the word, and I pray that you'll come to a true recognition of who Jesus Christ really was and who he is. He is alive. Satan thought he defeated Jesus at the cross, but what he didn't know is that was victory. That was the day Satan lost. Make sure you don't let Satan enter into your heart and your mind. Give your life to Jesus Christ and watch what happens. That's when things will start to change. And it usually starts with him plucking people out of your life, getting them out of his way. So it's between you and him. The blood that Jesus Christ shed is he is the blood atonement for the sins of the whole world. Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and you will be saved. That is what his word said. All these other things, like holiness, it will be added to you. All right, everybody, that's your word. Those are the visions the Lord has blessed me with, and hence I have delivered the word.